What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back again on Lake Brownwood. That's right. I believe it's our fourth video for Google Earth for Lake Brownwood. This thing was a lot bigger than what I anticipated, and we found tons of stuff in this lake. So if you've missed any of the other videos, go check out that lake breakdown playlist. You'll be able to check those out. But tonight, we're going to finish it up. Here we go, Lake Brownwood, episode 4, Google Earth. See what we can find. All right, well, here we go. We're going to go back to Lake Brownwood again. This is going to be the final video for the Google Earth side, and then I'll follow this up with the offshore hotspots. So we'll pull up the Navionics web app, and I'll go through basically and just show you all of the different things that are available on this lake via what we can see via the contour lines and things like that. So make sure to come back, check out the videos. Let's go ahead and jump in here to Brownwood. If you've never watched any of my videos before, and this is your first one, just real quick, over here on the left-hand side, I always sort everything out just basically based on what I can find on the lake. So in this case, we have Texas Park and Wildlife brush piles. You can see all of those here. So if you uncheck those, you'll see all the different brush piles that are out there, or they could be the PVC pipes for crappie. You've also got the offshore hotspots. So these are all the different markers that are out there. You've got rock, you've got creek channels. That's going to be these tracks that are here. So just mark the creek channel based on what I can tell. And then finally, different types of covers. So that would be like laydowns, brush, stuff like that, and ramps. So all the different boat ramps. If you've watched any of my videos before, you'll know that I'm big on boat ramps. If you can find boat ramps, which this lake didn't have a ton of ramps, but a lot of our lakes will have a bunch of ramps, and that is actually a really good pattern to run. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Last time when we finished on the last video, we finished right here around this rock point that's right here, right where it says rock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over. And then I'm going to go up here to the top, and I'm going to change my date. So I'm going to tell it to say, hey, let's go ahead and let's draw this date back. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm going 2018. That's pretty good on 2018. That might be where we want it at. Let's take one more look and see if we can find anything better than 2018. So we know that that exposes that rock in 2018. Doesn't look like Google Earth is going to give us much more right here. Look here. Does give us some stuff, but this one's not as obvious. So this is going to be one of those where I'm going to have to switch back and forth. But the good news is right out of the gate, I see something that I didn't see the first time, and that's this debris right in here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that debris actually looks pretty interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and put a marker there, and we're going to make a new one. We'll call it debris, and then we'll color code it later on. So let's keep looking and see what else we can find here. You do have a little ditch that's back in here. I guess you could call it a creek channel. I believe it's a creek channel. So we do have the creek channel that goes through here. It's not very significant, but definitely, an area you could look at right here where these rocks are. That's going to be a really good area to look at, because you can tell the creek channel, what's left of it, swings out and hits right up against these docks. So right in here. So this is really going to be a good prime area to take a look at. There's also some additional rock that's over here, but you can see it's pretty far away from the creek channel, so you might not want to mess with that too much. There's also a little ditch back in here, right here, that they've dug out for this dock. Now, sometimes you can locate fish off these little ledges that people have basically created by digging those out for the docks. So maybe take a look at that. Definitely look at that debris that's up there, and I'll see if I can change this creek channel real quick. And let's see if we can just move it. No, it's not going to let us. I'll have to change that creek channel so we can pull it all the way up to here. I don't think that I saw this image last time when I was looking at Google Earth. So good news is we're probably going to find some new stuff as we go through this recording. So let's keep moving on up and see what else we can find. Again, looks like a pretty shallow place. There's some debris and stuff in there, but nothing that I can tell that's really going to be worth some time. But now if you look right in here, this is where those giant rocks start. So you've got a real big giant rock kind of stuck behind that dock. But right in here, you got some really large rocks in here as well. And if we pull that up, say we take it from 2013 to 2017, those rocks are pretty well submerged. And those are going to be really, really good rocks. They provide a lot of shadow. a lot of cover for them to ambush points and things like that for them. So all kinds of good stuff with those huge boulders. So definitely take advantage of that when you're fishing around, and make sure to fish around those. Let's keep on moving up. Let's see what else we can find. Again, those big boulders. I mean, we had one there. There's one way back here, but after that, I don't really see any major ones. Now, right in here looks really good. You got two really big boulders that are right here, and then some really good boulders right here off the edge of this point. And if you look, what I'm talking about earlier when I said, they provide a lot of shade, look at the shade that this boulder is providing. So you can just imagine that with the water being up. Let's take the water all the way up to 2022. That is some really good shade for those fish. So they can tuck in on the backside of that boulder and just be completely covered out of the sun. But yet, if the wind's blowing, say this direction, that is like a money spot for them to set and just ambush bait. So you definitely want to look at spots like that and see if you can locate some fish there, because that looks like it's going to be a really good area for you. So let's keep drawing this back. Let's go back to the 2013 image, and let's keep moving on. So you got a little bit of a hump out here. Didn't see anything on there. There is a pipe that comes through here, and every once in a while you'll look at these pipes, you'll scan them, and you'll find like 3 or 4 or 5 fish just setting right on top of them or really, really close by to them. So take a look at the pipe, just scan around it, see if you can find anything there. There's some additional rock that's over here off the edge of this dock that looked pretty interesting. And then right here too, you can see it's the bigger, chunkier rock that I'm pointing out to you guys. So right in here, there's some really good stuff there, some pretty good shadows you can see from the image. If I zoom that in a little bit, you'll see it a little bit better. And then let's keep moving over here. So as we get over here onto the back half of this little cove here, we've got some additional chunkier rock right there. Then I didn't see too much going along this bank line. Kind of all the big rock and everything disappeared. I did mark rock here, which is interesting because you don't see anything on this image. But if I bring this up, you'll notice that appears to be like a hard spot. So I don't know what's going on in there. I don't know if that's scattered rock, like really scattered rock, but that could be a really good spot to take a look at, especially come springtime, just anywhere up in this area, in this huge little flat area. So take a look at that. Also moving on down here, we've got some additional rock. If I zoom in, you'll see it. It's just a little bit bigger, a little bit chunkier. Might even be able to see it better on the other image. You can see here a little bit better. It's got a little bit thicker rock just going on right here in this area. And then as we move down, didn't see too much back in here. There is a little channel that's been dug out. I don't think it's actual. I guess it could be a creek or maybe just overflow water. We didn't see anything too crazy back in there. So had to get back up in here before I saw something. The next thing that I saw was just some debris that's over here. So you'll notice here in this image that, it looks fine, but let's go ahead and move it up. And now you'll notice that something happened to that dock and there's some debris in the water and everything. And it appears to be that way for a while, where that debris is completely under the water. So definitely look right in here. Obviously, if you're fishing the docks, you might not see it. So make sure to check out that area right there where I put debris. So let's go move back and let's keep moving up this point. Let's see what else we can find in here. Again, kind of a tough image to look at because it's so bright. There's some pretty big boulders right in here that you can take a look at maybe. Now I do show some additional rock in here. Now this is good stuff. So pretty much I put 2 markers here. I put one here and one here at the top. Let me pull that down a little bit. Basically what you want to do is you want to fish anywhere in this area. I mean, you've got some really big, nice boulders you can fish around. You want to be careful running your boat around here too, especially when it's shallow. But look at these big, chunky rocks. I mean, look at the shadows. And to me, that's the key, is if you see a shadow going off the back of it, you know that's going to be a really good spot to look. And again, if we pull the water up to 2022, you can kind of tell there's big rock there, but you don't realize how big that rock is unless you actually see it with the water down. You're like, okay, that is a really good area to fish. There's lots of area there to be able to fish around. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that back, and let's keep moving on. So again, that rock kind of goes a little bit further up here too. So all around these docks, look at the shade that's providing. Look at the shade this one's providing. That's just craziness right here. Right there. So all kinds of good stuff right in there. You've also got some more of the big chunky rocks back in here. I marked those for you as well. And then as we move over here to this point, you can see up here, this was pretty interesting. I don't know what, it's almost like they were spaced perfectly, but you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just this kind of scatter rocks. But I would fish around this point, but maybe also go in here and just hit up each one of these rocks and just see if anything's on any of them. And there could be fish on each one of them set up. So definitely want to take a look at those. They're different than everything else and they really stand out there. So definitely take a look at that. And as we move back in here, I didn't see this on the last time, but it does look like you've got a little bit of a rock, something out here. So just be careful when you're coming through there or stop and fish it. You've also got some additional rock that's back in here. You'll be able to see this better on the other image. I think this is the image that I had last time. You can tell here it's that scattered rock again, where it's just kind of almost pebble type stuff. We've also got some additional rock that's right here in this area. And you'll notice that this over here was real shallow, not shallow rock, but like pebbly, smaller rock. Then you've got a little bit of rock here off this point, but this is like that big chunkier rock. And it's the only rock in the area that's that size. So you definitely want to look over there in that area, see if you can find anything around those. You've got a brush pile that's up here. Let's pull that back now that we've got that 2013 image. Dang, I was hoping we could actually see the brush pile, but still under the water. But we do have some pretty good rock going on right in here. You can see it's a lot thicker just right here in this area. That brush pile is actually set up right on the edge of a transition area. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about transition areas, but notice how it's rocky here, and then it just gets to sandy, and then it immediately goes back to rock. Well, those lines basically that you see right there where that hydrilla or whatever kind of vegetation that is growing there, those perfect lines, that's basically the transition lines. So you've got a transition line here, you've got a transition line there, and that brush pile is set up right on the transition line. Perfect spot to put one. All right, so moving on up, you've got some bigger rock over in here. This whole area looks good. I mean, you've got this chunky rock here, the whole transition area we just talked about, the brush pile, and some additional bigger rock. I can see putting a lot of focus right here in this area. Some more rock here off this point. Again, this is going to look totally different when the water's up. You'll notice that here we go. We got some definitely some good rock there that's underneath there that you would not notice is there. Let's go back to 2013. And let's keep going. See this, go to 113. Pretty good hump out here. Didn't see too much. There's a little bit of debris and stuff right in here that maybe they could collect up on the edges of these. But I couldn't tell if that's just the way the bottom of the lake looks or if that's actually like a little collection of rocks or something like that. But didn't see too much here. You can see just kind of blah, not much going on. You do have a ramp that's over here, so you can check out that ramp. Definitely fish around that. Again, right in here, this thing looked interesting because pretty much you've got this little, I guess, like a ditch that's been dug out. I called it a ledge, but it creates pretty much a ledge. It might only be a foot or 2 foot or whatever it is, but you can tell it's been dug out pretty good. So I would look right in here, just see if you can find anything. And then on the outside of that, there's a nice little rock pile there as well. You got some rock in here, and then there's a hidden ramp in there as well. So don't know if I'd spend that much time fishing in here, really, but I would definitely spend some time just looking around that little dig out area and just see if I could find anything there, and then also around that rock pile. Then moving down here, this is where we saw those pig pens or whatever they are. Maybe they're old, I called them rock walls, but you can tell that they're right here, and they make a perfect line. Now, my problem, let's see if I can go to my properties here on this and see if I can change it. I don't know if it's going to let me or not. Here we go. I'm just going to move this out of the way just for 1 second so you can see what it is that I've outlined here. So this is basically just a pile of rocks, and it's a perfectly straight line, almost like it was an old fence, or I would think an old foundation, but that'd be way too big of a foundation. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely like a rock wall. And you can see that it runs pretty good. It's pretty solid through there, and then it kind of dissipates over through this area, but you could probably take it all the way down to about right there. But I don't know if there'll be any fish on that, but it's definitely different. And if you notice, it's up on kind of a flatter area, so it's nice and shallow. And then that's really the first piece of cover that they could hang out in if they wanted to be up here in this area. So go over there, take a look at it, fish around it, hit it with crankbaits and things like that. You might have some success there. Also, moving on down through here, we've got some additional rock. We've got some more rock outside of that dock as well. Again, if I pulled up the image, you'd be able to see that that looks a little bit different. This image is really bright, so it's hard to tell. There's also some pretty good rock right in here around this dock, some chunkier stuff. And then as we move up, this all starts kind of looking the same. It's definitely a hard area. It looks all dried out. Can't tell if it's rock or just mud that's just really, really dry. But didn't see too much going on up in there. We do have a couple ramps in here. So we've got a ramp here and a ramp here. And then we've got some rock that's in here as well. So if I zoom in, and let me move this up to 813, and you'll be able to see it a little bit better. Now you can tell that you've got this rocky area just right in here. Everything else is kind of muddy and nasty, but then you've just got this little bit of random rock here, and then a pretty decent little pile of rock here that has a little cut in. That could be a pretty good spot to look at as well. Then we go ahead and we move up here. We've got some more rock that's in here. So a couple more areas where it looks like you've just got some rock a little bit offshore. Got a little ramp there that I missed, a little personal ramp. And then as we move further up here, we're going to get back into our last little cove here. We've got the Texas Park and Wildlife brush piles or PVC piles, fish attractor sites. You've got one that's back here in this area. Let's pull that back to 113. See if we can see it. I don't know if we're going to be able to or not. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to, but it's somewhere right in there. That's the exact coordinates they gave us. And then if you look here, we've got some really good rock in here. I mean, everything else, yes, it's a rocky lake, but this is some really good looking rocks and really chunky, big stuff. Again, lots of shadows you can see that are being created. So I could see fishing around that point being a very good area to fish around. Also, as we move further back here, we just got some more rock. Just random spots, right? So you got just pretty much nothing. You got a nice rock pile here. You got some pretty good rock in here. You got rock up here, and you also have one here. Let's go ahead and move that over. We're just going to move that over to here and say fish that. And then if you look right here, there's also a pretty decent little ditch. So I would fish that. That looks pretty nice. Looks like a very interesting place to fish for sure. Also have a boat ramp over here. Just pretty much nothing going on around there. So that could be a good spot for them to be in. If they're going to be in this area, they're probably going to be there or around some of these rocks because there's nothing else for them to be attracted to here. So you've got a couple different areas here where you've got some rocks. They almost look like straight lines. When I moved it up to 813, you'll notice I zoom this in really big. It's almost like those walls we talked about before. Maybe this is an old foundation, not sure what it is, but you've definitely got a group of rocks that's right there, just right on the edge of all of that different cover that's there as well. So that could be good. You've also got some rocks off the edge of this point in here too. So as we move back here, we've got a pretty decent little creek channel. Maybe fish around there. It might be too shallow to fish in there, not sure. Moving on up here though, again, another area where we just got some rocks. So notice there's not a lot going on here, but right in this area, you've got just some scattered rocks. So look in there. You may also want to look in here too. I don't know if this is under the water or not, but if this is under the water, fish it. If it's touching the water, fish it. If it's in the water, definitely, again, just fish it. I didn't see that the first time. I don't know if that's like an old tower that fell or what, but looks kind of interesting. That debris may still be underwater. Let's pull that up to 2022. So if that's the end of it right there, let's see if the end of it actually... Yeah, it does. So it's probably just a little bit in the water, but definitely take a look at that and see what you can find in that area. Now let's go ahead and keep moving back to, let's go back to 2013 so we can get it a little bit further back. Got some rock that's out here. Even further out, now that I have this additional image, is you've got maybe some potential of some more rock in here. Almost looks like an old roadbed now that I'm looking at it with this image. Let's see what we can find here. This one you can't really tell. But you can tell there's some kind of a roadbed or something going on right in there. So right off the edge where it says rock, scan north of there and south of there and see what you can find. You can tell there's an old road going on right in there. And I don't know if that's maybe not an old road, but it sure looks like an old road for sure. All right, so we're going to keep moving on down. We've got a ramp that's over here as well. We got another ramp that's back there. I'm trying to pick up pace because I know I'm taking forever on this one. We've also got some more rock that's up here. Right off the edge of this point. So fish right in this area. Notice how it's a lot, it's really white right in here compared to everything else. That's going to be a good spot to look at. You got the same thing going on right in here. This image is going to look better. If I pull it up a little bit more, you'll be able to tell here where you've got these little pockets of rock. So look at those spots for sure. Those can be good areas to look at. You've got some additional rock going on up in here. So you can see where they're just little areas. I'm not sure what's going on. You got all the brush and stuff. So, but in between all this brush that's in here, this underwater brush, you've got some rocks, and those can be really good areas for them to set up on and really ambush stuff. You got some more rock here, real good point that comes out, an underwater rock point. You got some rock right here off the edge, right where this brush line ends. You got some rock right in there too. You can see you might even have some right here that I've missed. It's so hard to tell because all this stuff blends in, but that looks like a pretty good little pile that's right in there too. So anyways, take a look at those spots. Let's keep moving up and let's see where we're at. We're going to end right here at the ramp. So we're almost done with Lake Brownwood. We're all the way up here. Obvious big ramp right here. You can fish around. You've got some good rock in here. Let's pull that down to 2013. Let's see if we see anything else in here. Of course, you see that rock that's there. Yeah, I don't see anything else. You've got some more rock there as well. Pretty decent little drop right in there that you could take a look at. The problem is I see some buoys there, so hopefully you can get in there and fish those. And then I did not notice this the first time, but right here, you have some kind of little ledge going on. See the shadow that it's creating? So maybe look right in here. These look like buoys, so that they might just be cautioning you to say, hey, it's getting super shallow. But look right in here, and then also look right here. I'm going to put a little rock spot right here. Now I'm going to put a ledge spot right where that is, which we didn't have this image before, so it's pretty cool that we have it now. We can find some new stuff. So anyways, we'll check those out for sure. There's also some additional rock right around this dock you could look at. And then, of course, some more rock just all in this area. So let's pull this down and I'll show you. This is where that bigger rock starts. So it pretty much starts about right here where this white dock is and goes around. But the big portion of it is right here off this point. That can be a really good point to fish off of. There's also a ramp close by. And then I can't tell, honestly, if this is rock or not. I believe it's rock, but it almost looks like it's all dried up as well. But this looks really good. This looks like that really big rock that you could fish around. So pretty much anything right in this area is probably going to be a pretty good spot to check out. You've also got some additional rock that's back in here, just those big boulders. Same thing going on all down through here. See all these giant rocks. And then it pretty much ends. Looks like it ends about right in here. There's a little bit more over here, and then it's pretty much done. But definitely look where pretty much where it starts rock there. Just fish from there to about that dock and then hop over here, fish around this area here, and fish down that bank line down to where it says rock right there. And I think you're going to have some success there. And then that brings us back up to right where we started, and that was the boat ramp right there by the dam. Guys, I really appreciate you watching these videos and all the support you have for purchasing the SD cards with all the waypoints and hotspots. Really appreciate it. If you haven't checked out our website yet, please do so, simplisticfishing.com. You can pick up all these waypoints and hotspots for an SD card, or you can get the digital files and put them on the SD card yourself. So lots of options out there and lots of lakes out there. There's like 40 or 50 different lakes out there to choose from, and we continue to add more each day. So anyways, stay tuned. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because I'll be following up this video with the Navionics side where we're going to break down the offshore hotspots and we're going to look at this thing from a contour perspective. Until next time, tight lines.